What I'm trying to say is a very good afternoon wherever you are, and greetings to wherever you are, whether in the morning or in the afternoon. Our main topic for today is the sole responsibility. We're looking at it when the Home Office talked about what is sole responsibility. So we're going to express and digest what the sole responsibility is all about in terms of making an application to UK Home Office. Wherever you are, be in the third world country, you want to bring your child or others into this country. So let's look at it, what's the concept of the sole responsibility. When we talk about the sole responsibility, we look at it from making application. We're going to pick it up in two folds. Being one, entry clearance, and being the other, where you are already in this country and you want to further leave or you want to apply on the basis of being a sole parental responsibility of a qualifying child. When we talk about a qualifying child, it's being a child who is British or has had 7 years continuous in this country. So in 2012, July, Home Office did amendment with their immigration rules. And as such, they created a portion for it being Appendix FM, being the family route, your private life, and others. And on that basis, alongside, they were using paragraphs dealing with that. The paragraph that talks about the sole responsibility is paragraph 297 of the immigration rules. So when we talk about the immigration rules, it's trying to incorporate what, let's say, if you want to come to UK, if you also want some sort of, you haven't got a stay here, or if you have a leave which is limited, that immigration rules guide you how to make your leave to regularize your stay in UK. Being outside or within, and your relative wants to come and visit you as well. So the sole responsibility, when we look at it, it's basically talks about who has the parental control and direction of a child.
So then my question would be, why is it difficult to prove that? Because if I have the sole parental responsibility, the sole duty to make sure that the welfare of the young person is seen to, why is it difficult to prove it?
Yes, it is because when we look at our system of our human activity, we always look at it that it takes two persons to bring up a child. Okay. Being the father or the mother, or maybe you've adopted the child. Okay. So when we look at it that way, it's always in the mind of the Home Office that at least if you want to bring a child here, the first question they put across is, where is the other parent? Okay. So it's up to you to let them know where is the other side or where is the other parent. Okay. And normally, is it the other parent abandoned the child or abdicated his or her duty as a parent? Okay. So these are the basic questions we need to ask ourselves before we put in or make a statement that we are applying for a child on the basis of sole responsibility. Let's look at a bit of the immigration rules, what incorporates or what brought about the sole responsibility. Okay. When you look at the United Nations Convention on the Right of a Child, it talks about under the Article 3 that any decision making or any you trying to look at the child thing, something involves a child, it has to be the best interest of the child. Okay. When we talk about the best interest of the child, we're looking at it in making sure that the decision you're going to make, it shouldn't affect the child. So as such, the UK government incorporates that bit into their immigration rules, being Section 55 of the Borders, Citizenship and Immigration Act 2009. Okay. So whenever they are making a decision, the first thing they have to consider is the best interest of a child. whereby there is a child involved in that application.
Okay.
So as such, whenever they are doing that application in terms of the sole responsibility, the first thing the Home Office or the caseworker have to look at it is, do we have a child involved in this case?
Okay.
Are we going to consider the best interest of the child in this case? Because at the end of the day, if they don't do it, they owe a duty under the UN Convention on the Child, UN Convention of the Child, under the Article 3, that you have to make sure that if there is a child involved in such application, you have to consider that.
Okay. So the monster of the sole responsibility in the UK immigration issues and application is not necessarily something that we should be scared of, but rather to put out our case so cogently in that whoever is looking at that will take into consideration the interest of the child to make a decision so the child can join you or cannot.
Yes, you're right. So as such, when you look at the sole responsibility concept, typically it's not easy to prove, you being the parent or trying to tell the Home Office that I've got sole parental responsibility over this child. There are a lot involved. It ends up in such a way that the court interprets it, and as such we call it some sort of a case law. There is a case that involves the whole scenario about this sole responsibility. It is called TD Yemen.
Okay.
Because this case wants you to prove some things when you're talking about the sole responsibility. And what are these things? You coming up and saying that this is my child. And they will look at it and say, what shows is your child? First, you have to show the relationship.
Okay.
And the best way is using the birth cert to show it's your child.
Okay.
Fine. And the next stage is, do you have a responsibility over the child?
How do you play that?
That's the question. And this is where it makes the sole responsibility difficult to prove it.